Welcome back to Retro Racer. In this video you'll see that I ended up repairing the front of that subframe boss and then just finalising the major parts of the chassis repair. So it looks a bit better than before. It was more just an exercise to see if I could do it, and I suppose in all honesty I just didn't like seeing that jagged rusty bit sitting there. Right in the centre of the screen you've got that drain hole. That part of the material was gone on the outer skin of the box, so I'd imagine when I offer this piece up here I'll probably drill through it, because as it slants up it's got nowhere to go, so I suppose that will have to be done. And probably going to give it another coat of rust converter, and then either that or just give it another clean out and a good coat of zinc weld through primer. So next up I'll be doing this section here. So I look back on my time lapse, I normally do because they're so short, so I just look at them to see if they've worked out, then I know I can move on, or how to move on with the story. And I saw that weld centre of screen was looking really average, hadn't taken to the original material properly. So I left the welder at 135 amps, corresponding voltage, 1mm flux cord wire, and did a push run. I'll see if I can, that's about as close as I can get, keep it in focus with the flash on, with the light on. So by pushing it made the weld very flat. It was extremely hot. The whole end of that section was red hot by the time I finished it, but I'm much happier with that. So I made this section up, and that's going to be fine. And then I was wondering, how do I get this over there where I cut straight by mistake? So what I did was I went and made another one of these. I just traced this one onto this piece and then cut that on the shears to give that shape. It's only 2 cuts, and then I offered it up to match up the bottom and the top, sorry, offered it up to match up the bottom and the top, and drew that line, because I've pretty much got a right angle across there, so we know where we want to end up. So I think that's going to be pretty close. So I'll cut that little sliver out now and we'll have a look. Good morning. I just did a bit of clean up on the chassis, which you'll have seen prior to this part of the video. And here is the Lollipop mount for the lower control arm. So what happens is, looking at the car this way, this is welded inside the chassis with these two spigots that go down into the counterbore, and that locates it securely. And then the bolts come up from underneath into these threads that are basically gone. So what I'm going to do is I have the leftover half connector or tube nuts, which I need to square off the ends on a little more. And I'm going to nip these rusted damaged sections of nut off just above these welds that hold the spigot nut assembly into place. Clamp it all together with the factory bolts, tack it all up and weld it, run the tap through again, and then I'll show you how I locate these into the chassis. I'm just going to coat the bolts, the factory bolts, in this anti-spatter spray to clamp them on, as you'll see. I'll just keep that there so it's in focus. I don't know why I bought 3 cans of this, but it was on sale. The M10 bolts are quite sloppy through that spigot. That could be due to corrosion, or it just might have been an allowance in the factory, because the spigot does all the work. The bolts just provide the clamping force. So you may have seen in the time lapse, I undid them and then located them to centre as best as I could. So I'll just get the welder set up and put some weld on those. So they're welded up, and I've just left it there. As you saw, I took the bolts out hot, and sorry about the backlighting there, just come back around. So I'll just let those cool down naturally, and I opted to put the factory ends down against the cut, because these last cuts that I did were not square. I'll just get better lighting for you when I repaired the passenger side. So I'm just going to dress those up a little. It's not critical. It's actually spread apart due to the heat, but when I clamp it into position in the chassis using the Lollipop mount, it will actually flatten itself down into location. And now all I'll do is I'll just take you over here. That's the chassis section, and as we're looking at the car like that, it's actually like that. And I still have this line here, just a little touch that I didn't weld so far. I got a bit excited welding it all up, which is this cut line. So I just measure from the cut line to the center of these holes and mark that out on the car. Actually, I think what I do, and I think it's what I did on the last one, I might just cut this down here and then offer it up to the car. So I don't have to take any measurements, so I can just put that in line with that little cut here that I have remaining that's not welded, and mark these holes out, and then use a step drill to work my way up to size, which was a bit of an odd one from memory. I can't remember now. I just measured these holes in the chassis. They come in, and there's basically no rust or very little rust on those, so they come in accurately at about 16.8 millimeter, and the spigots here, just put that there to get focus, come in at about 16.1 millimeter, which is roughly 5/8 of an inch. So I just did a test hole in this old chassis section with my step drill. Went to 16 mil, and it actually cut to 16.5. So I've got a little bit of play there. So hopefully I can step drill accurately under the chassis there. Once I cut this out and transpose that onto the car. The other thing I just noticed when cutting this out and cleaning it up is the remnants of a drain hole, which makes sense, because the water is, if that's towards the front of the car this way, the water can't get past this boss because there's reinforcements that go across the inner chassis section, as you'll see later on today when I do that. So I just used that and just drew up a rough center line because I didn't cut this out square, and I'll just scribe a center line or mark a center line on the chassis as well, just to help me get this into position. Just there in the center of the screen, you'll see a little nick in the chassis. That's where I said earlier I got a bit excited welding, and then I remembered, so I thought, oh, I better leave that part there unwelded so I know where the original cut was from the old chassis to the new. And then I'll just position this here for you so it's not shaky. So then I drew a line across from that the join, which just happens to be in the middle of the weld, so my weld wasn't too shaky and all over the place. And then I offered this up. I scribed a couple of lines, as you saw, and found the center of the two scribed lines because I set it a little short, matched it up, held it in place, and then using the thin extended marker, I just marked it up, and there we are. That would have to be somewhere near right. Okay, so that's drilled. I double checked across the other side too. You know, it's within 2 mil, but who knows what's square on this car anymore. And just offering this up from underneath, it goes in from the inside, but it fits. So it's worth taking your time, I'd imagine, to get that in nicely. So what I'll do now is I'll clean this up. So that's all cleaned up, welded quite nicely. It's about to go in the car. The remaining repairs, I'll definitely have to take out the pedals and the steering wheel. It's just really hard, especially with the bulky AdFlow helmet. I really struggled then. Plus there was a bit of a pause in the welding that you would have seen. I had to replace the tip because the wire kept jamming up. So that's all done. All the reinforcements, as you saw in the time lapse, are welded in. So all the any loads of this Lollipop arm that try to twist it inwards and upwards, that's all distributed right out through the whole chassis box section into the floor.